Welcome back for a mini message today. We're looking in Genesis 18, and I'm looking today at verses 6 through 8. It says, So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, Quickly, make ready 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd and took a tender good calf and gave it to a young man, and he hastened to prepare it. So he took butter and milk and the calf which he had prepared and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree as they ate. Now remember, this is Christ. 2 angels is who this is. So they come up. Here he prepares this meal for them. This was a really common thing in this culture. Hospitality was incredibly important. When someone came into your presence, they came into your household, you provided for them, you took care of them. You notice if you go back up into the previous passage, it talked about they brought water for them to wash their feet. You know, they're walking either barefoot or they're in sandals and it's dusty and dirty area, you know. And so it was a common courtesy to provide this for them. Then here comes Abraham with the food, and he prepares the calf, a tender and good calf. He didn't give them junk, right? He didn't pull out some beef jerky and handed it to them. He went and got some of the good stuff, right? They're eating filet, right? They're eating some filet. So then he brings them milk, he brings them butter, he makes cakes for them, right? He makes bread for them. And he puts this before them. This may seem to us like overdoing it, but this was what their culture did and how they took care of guests. I've run across these kind of people in my life. The folks that when you walk in their house, man, they have a servant's heart of hospitality, almost overwhelm you sometimes. That was common in this culture. And now I do want to take just a moment to look at verse 9 and 10 because I think this is very interesting. Here's what the visitors asked. Where is Sarah, your wife? The visitors asked. She's inside the tent, Abraham replied. Then one of them said, I'll return to you about this time next year, and your wife Sarah will have a son. This is really shortly taking place after the visit from Genesis 17. And here he comes back and he tells him this same thing again. Why did he tell him this same thing again? I think sometimes we need to be reminded of God's promises over and over, right? We need to be reminded because it's easy when we get into the struggles of life to forget. It's easy to discount. It's easy to ask ourselves, God, where are you? God's blessings aren't on me. God, why are you punishing me? We can ask ourselves all these kinds of questions. And so it's good sometimes for us to sit down with His Word and to be reminded of the promises. To have somebody tell us God's promises over and over. And I think that's what they needed. They needed to hear it again. They needed to be encouraged. So God encouraged them. See, when we're in a deep hole, when we're struggling, a lot of times God will encourage us through His Word, through prayer. And one thing I've found is a lot of times God uses other believers to encourage me. When I'm struggling, He'll bring somebody into my house, into my office, meet them on the street, meet them in a parking lot, whatever. And I am encouraged by what they remind me of who God is. So remember God's promises. It may not come true today. It may not come true tomorrow. But God's promises can be counted on. You can count on that. Have a great day.